immediately. And before I do that, that reminds me, please, we'll be using another code editor now that we know that Python is now getting set for the future as well. They have the plans they have for the future is something that is wonderful. Remember that Python in Google, if you check your Google right now, just search Google and say which is the programming language used by Google, like the main programming language used by Google. It's Python that is the topmost programming language used by almost all their platforms. So it's very important that you're in the right place and you're learning in a practical kind of way. And so what I would like you to download, we are going to use in the next project will be the Snake project. We'll be building a Snake game and we'll be using a graphical user interface. We don't want to just build anyhow game. We want it to be colorful and as well. So you'll be downloading Anaconda. I know the name might seem strange, but it's called Anaconda. So what you're going to just search on Google, maybe I'll show you before the end of the class how to make sure it is inside your system, because it comes with a whole lot of packages. And that's what we're going to use. It's going to be Jupyter Lab. We're going to need Jupyter Lab in our next project. So don't worry about it. There's always a way out. I'll show you how to make it happen. And some of you really have already, you have it on your system for sure. So nevertheless, let's just go straight to what we have for tonight. So I'll be sharing my screen. And we're getting set to begin. So let's see what we have. Let me check my work. Okay, so I think I will just have to use that. Let me just use the Anaconda itself here. Let me just use the Anaconda itself so we can actually see how it's being used. So it's loading. I believe you can see my screen. So the Anaconda is initializing. So what you just do, you can decide to go to, and just decide to search Google Anaconda. Sorry, now it has opened. So I want to launch the Jupyter Lab. I want to use it for tonight. I just want to try something different. So it's launching. Excuse me. So it will take you to your default browser by the time you load it. So I think there was a project I was with this Tuple then. Let me see if it's going to load directly here. Okay, it's loading directly as I was handling it before now. So you can see, I believe, let me try to put it in the presentation mode. Okay. So I think this is a presentation. I don't see any difference here. But nevertheless, so we're going to look at Tuple Creation, Tuple Assignment, Tuples and functions. We're going to also look at zip functions, tuple and dictionary, and lambda function as key. It's very important that you understand the concept of tuple before you even try to get to the zip and the rest. So I don't know who has...
Sorry. Please, is this Anaconda or Jupyter?
This is what we call the Jupyter Lab. I launched it from the Anaconda itself. So you can see the Anaconda Navigator is a kind of what they call it, a framework, a kind of interface that houses other IDEs and other applications. For example, you can see there is what we call, this is the command prompt itself. This is the data law, the IBM Watson Studio Cloud. These are things that we see. Even the PyCharm is also here, but this particular one is the professional version. There's what we call the R Studio, which you use to code your R programming language. There's also VS Code, there's Spider, there's PyCharm community as well, there's Qt console. So a lot of packages are inside it as well. So right now we want to use the Jupyter Lab. So by the time you just download your Anaconda Navigator, just search on Google Anaconda, you see ways to download it. Maybe I'll also send you the link as well, maybe a YouTube video to watch it, or can actually do it right now after tonight's class. So it's something that you have to, we need this Jupyter lab in the next, so they want to build a snake game using Python. So we need this particular Jupyter lab to make sure that works for us. But if you're very comfortable, I told you I'm not comfortable with PyCharm at all. I'm still finding a way out because most times I've always gotten used to this kind of Jupyter kind of interface that has to do with each block, each cell of code. For what they call it, the other ones just run through all the lines of code, which is not something I always want to test my block at every interval that I'm building so that I will not make mistake at the final product. Okay, so that's why I'm bringing out this Jupyter lab and let's see how we go. So I'm going straight back to Tuple Creation. And I don't know who has gone through the work, who went through the work, who can explain what Tuple is, what are the things you found out about Tuple, what are the things you see the difference between it and the other other data structure. What did you find out? At least we came out with something. Anybody that wants to try, what did you find out about Tuple?
Well, can I say something?
Yes, say something. It's very important. Yes, I'm with you.
One thing I saw about the tuple is that for it to be a tuple, the elements must have a comma.
Fantastic. Okay. Okay.
And you can also use index to search for them, kind of.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, those are the things I observed.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for at least going through them. And that's amazing. Thank you, Mr. Kun. So any other person that wants to try, what did you find out about Tuple itself? I know you are still angry with me because of yesterday's class. Please, I'm still on my knees. I'm still apologizing to you now. Please, I'm sorry for missing that class. It was very important, but I had to because I couldn't just make it up. Sorry about that. So with that, I would like to someone to say something about Tuple. What do you know about Tuple? Even before now, what have you heard of Tuple? Even during the class, I think I made mention of Tuple quite a lot. Anybody that wants to try? What's going on? You guys are at this stage. At this stage, I believe you guys should be fine. What happened? I hope we are safe. Hey, Mr. Mark. Dr. Solomon, what's going on? Mr. Major, Dr. Kwemi, hey, God, what is going on? Oh?
Yeah, good evening, Sir Kemini. No, you are very safe. Don't worry. I mean, for me, yesterday class was, so I mean, it's like I said the other day, we are all humans. I mean, there's no issue about that. So for today's class, I think you are right on spot. And like a colleague earlier mentioned,
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. It seems to be breaking at my end. Maybe I need to log out and log back in. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. It was network. We can hear you now. Oh, okay. It's now muted. Okay, maybe it's network. Okay. I saw Dr. Kwemi's hand first. So after that, we'll go to Mr. Solomon.
Yeah, good evening once again.
Good evening. Yes, good evening, sir.
Yes. So Tuple is more or less like an immutable list. It's more or less like a list, but its major difference is that it's not mutable. You cannot modify it.
Okay, thank you very much. That's amazing. Okay, that's good. It's just like list, but it is immutable. Okay, that's the thing I got from that. Mr. Solomon, Mr. Sunday, you have the floor right now.
I think what I wanted to say, he has said one of it, that tuples are immutable, and then it can be used to combine like different outputs. So if you want to get,
yeah, that's the factor. That's one of the key things too as well. Thank you. That's nice as well. Yeah, thank you very much. You'll see it out how it's being used to bring out different outputs as well. Thank you very much. But any other person that wants to try, or let's just go straight to the meeting. Okay. Without wasting much time, let's go there. Okay. So as we said, first of all, tuple is more of like it's a sequence is a sequence type of data structure, just like strings and lists. And they can take any type any type as element. So unlike the other ones that say key cannot take this, values cannot take this. This one Tuple said, okay, bring them all. Just bring them all. I'm going to use it. Tuples are indexed by integers implicitly, just like lists, as someone has said, and they look like lists, as someone has also said. The main difference is that in list and tuple, one is mutable and the other one is immutable, and they're separated by commas, as well as Mr. Funso has also said, and that's amazing. So one of the things is that tuple comes in as a parenthesis, that the main bracket that we know, that's the open and close main bracket as a parenthesis itself. That's how it comes in as well. So tuple is a sequence separated by comma, confirm. So creating a tuple by assigning elements separated with commas. For example, now we can see something like I'm doing a T. Let me try to make sure that this is okay. So you can see T here. I believe you can see the screen. Is the font size okay? Please confirm if the font size is okay. Maybe let's find a way to, if it's not okay, we'll also find a way to increase it too. Because is it okay, guys? Please confirm. Hello, is the font size okay? I always do my okay. Let's use it because all right. Okay. Let's manage this for now. Let's manage this. So so you can see right now, you can see that tuple here. This is we are trying to create a tuple by assigning elements separated by commas. And by the time we do this, so T is equals to X. All of them are strings in a, for example. So X, comma Y, comma Z, Q, and P. All of them are separated by what? By commas. And by the time you call out this T here, the output is going to give you return inside a parenthesis kind of bracket. Please take note of the brackets here. This bracket always indicates if a particular data type is a tuple or not. This particular bracket is quite different from other ones. Like list could have been square. So it's very important that we tend to understand that. So by the time we check the type of T here, we'll always find out that it is called what? It is what? The tuple itself. Okay. So this is how we define tuple explicitly, like we just bring it out itself, not like the other one that we did comma here and we did not put it as a square, as a bracket. So this is how we make a tuple look exactly as we want. So we can see here, we check the type of T2, which I've defined already as a variable. By the time we check the type, we can see that it is what? Tuple. Now, what you're trying to say, you can see a statement here. This is sort of like a what they call a keyword that we are using here, and it's trying to tell you that is instance. If you've gone through it, if maybe as you're going through the work itself, and you said, okay, let me Google what this means. You could have understood that this is instance is trying to, like, it's a Boolean kind of keyword that tries to say, okay, is this thing actually tuple? Is T2 is instance? You can see it's labeled in a green kind of format. So is instance inside this bracket? We're saying, is this T2, comma tuple? So that's what it's trying to tell you. Is this particular T2 that we have defined here a tuple? Now, if it is a tuple, it's going to return true. But if you put list here, it's going to return false here. So you can see here exactly what I just said. Is instance T2, comma list is going to become false because the T2 that we define here is not a list. Why is it not a list? Though it looks like a list, but it's separated, it's used a parenthesis kind of bracket. If it was a list, it could have come with a square bracket. So I believe you guys don't need that particular explanation at this point. I believe you already know what to do. Now, the next thing I'm going to ask is more of like a question. It's more of like a question now. Now, the thing is, how to create a tuple, sorry, it's a mistake here, with only one element. This is a very important question as well. How can you create a tuple with only one element. How can you do that? You can see here, if you do that, the first trial is one tuple equals to X. This is not a tuple. This is definitely a string because it comes with only what? With a quotation, open and close. And by the time we check the type of one tuple, it's going to return as what? As a string. So you can see, and the same thing here. If you do the same thing, I said, okay, since I always say that tuples always come with a bracket, a normal parenthesis bracket, you might decide to say, okay, let me just put it in this is going to show. But by the time you check the type of that one tuple now, it's still going to return what? A string. So what are you going to do now is that a tuple would not be a tuple except you do what? If it's just one element, just like this, it's not going to return as a tuple, but it's going to return as something else entirely when it comes to the concept of string as well. So the answer could have been to just add what? A comma. By the time you add a comma to that particular X, it's going to automatically change it to what? A tuple itself. So you can see 1_tuple is equals to X, comma. That comma alone tells you, okay, yes, I have arrived. I now take it as what? A tuple. By the time you check the type as well, you can see that it is a tuple. The same thing you could have done for this particular one. Instead of just defining it as X, just like that, you can just put a comma after this particular stem. We can see it here on Y. By the time we check it out, you can see that 1_tuple2 is separate. If there's a comma here, even though we have not put in the bracket, it will still return what? A tuple. So you can see here. So how do we create tuple with tuple? So this particular one is more of like when we're trying to use the dictionary function, where we first of all we define an empty dictionary and we put it as a curly bracket. But there's another way we can also define a dictionary by saying dit and put it inside put it like open and close bracket, and we'll still define that particular variable as a dictionary. So that's what is going on right now for tuple. You can see here what we did here. So you now say T is equals to tuple, open and close bracket. By the time you do that, you can see that T here, if you check the instance of this particular T, is going to the is instance of this particular T is going to return a tuple. And if you say it's tuple, it's going to return true. So let's create a tuple with a single element. So how do we do that? So single equals to tuple. You put it inside what? Open and close bracket and put the value you want to put. By the time you call out the single, variable that we just defined here, we did not put comma here, but the output of this particular single will come out as X and comma, just to show that it has taken the form of a tuple. Okay? Okay, so at this particular point, I would like to pause. How far do you understand what you have done so far? Please, someone should tell me to carry along, like to go ahead. Permission to carry on. So I need two persons to confirm that they understand. If you do not understand, please let me know. Okay. Okay, please carry on. Okay, please carry on. Okay, so I'm carrying on immediately. So, so you can see the next thing we're going to look at is enter a string into convert. How can we convert a particular, this thing to a tuple? So you can see here, we said lang is equals to tuple, and we put it as what? Python. By the time we call this particular lang itself, if you put a lot of them together, remember the other first time we're just using X, we're just using one element, single character. By the time we put in many characters as well, and you call it out, the tuple itself will say, okay, I'm seeing this thing as single element, and I need to use my comma very well. So it's going to come out as comma, 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 until you get to the last element. And how do you assess tuple? You assess it by their indexes. This particular one is ordered. So by the time it's ordered, you can call it out, say lang, and put the index of 0, which is going to take the particular one of P. By the time we call it out, it's going to give you P. The same thing as T. 2 here is going to be 0, 1, 2. And this is T as indexing. I don't need to explain that one anymore. So tuple can enter a list. It will convert into it what? A tuple. It can convert certain things as we did for other data structures as well. We can convert a particular one to another. for example, my list here is equals to, this is definitely a list because it's coming with a square bracket. It's coming with a square bracket, A, B, C, D. So by the time you said, okay, I want my list to change to tuple. I don't want it to be in form of list anymore. So list underscore tuple, I define another variable on its own. I said equals to what? I call out the tuple keyword, and I fix in the name, the particular data structure I want to change. And by the time I do that, I'm going to change it. By the time I call list underscore tuple, it's going to change from what this list to what tuple. You can see is separated by a particular kind of bracket, the normal bracket that we know from the very beginning. So that's a tuple. By the time you check the type, it's going to return tuple. And you want to go into this particular tuple and access the element. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, and it will come out as what? D. So the next thing we're going to look at is if there is indexing in a type. So let's see the slicing part of it. Let's go to the slicing part of it. And we have defined a text. We have defined a text equals to moon is the orbit of the earth. By the time we said, okay, let's change this particular one to tuple. I don't know who can tell me what the answer will be. What do you think the answer will be? It will definitely be something that you're thinking of right now, which is exactly what I know some of you thought at some point. So you separate this text into different, this particular text into what? Into different characters on its own. You can see that the space is also a character. You can see here that the space after anyone like MOON, there's a space. So space is also a character on its own. So you can see it came up with a space of a character of a single quote. Exactly. Even the what they call it, the full stop is also a character on its own. So how do we slice? Remember how we used to slice? The first element will be, the first one will be this where we are starting from. The next one will be where we are ending, and it's always sometimes it's not always inclusive as well, because if you want to slice from maybe one to a particular, it will have to take maybe a step before. Maybe you wanted to do from 1 to 7 elements. You have to when you are putting in slicing, you have to make it stop at 8 to take the other one as well. And also this particular one is always a step size. Do you want it to be in 2s, in 3s, in 1s, and so on and so forth? We are going to know as well. Okay. So how do we slice? So this is the tuple that we have defined. We have changed this tuple. We have changed this text to what tuple. By the time we start slicing right now, we can see if we want to slice moon out, we want to slice moon out, and we can call out the tuple name and set 0 to what 4. We can see 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3. Why is it stopping at 3? This is 3 index, but we use 4 because of what the rule of thumb of how you slice things in programming as well. So if you wanted the space to also come out, we could have stopped at 5, which could have been that of I, but I will not be here. Exactly what we did. So you can see here and so on. So if you look at this one as well, if you look at how we use, this one was positive slicing. What if we use negative slicing as well? We use the negative indexing. You can see that this one, we're going to start from the beginning, the end, which minus 1 will be what? Minus 1 will definitely be that of the full stop. But look at what we did here. We're starting from a particular number, which is minus 6. If you can check where minus 6 is right now, let's see where minus 6 is. If this is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6. So this is minus 6. If you are looking at negative slicing, negative indexing, sorry. So this is minus 6. This way is going to start. This is the earth itself. And where do you want it to stop? We want it to stop at what? We want it to stop at 8. That's why we brought in the word, the minus 1 here. Okay. If you wanted it to stop at T, we could have brought in minus 2 here so that it will come out as what? EART. And this H will not be involved. Okay. So that's how we go for negative slicing. Please, if you do not understand the concept of slicing, go back to our videos, or you can meet me up directly, or the Google will always be your best friend when it comes to slicing, indexing, and the rest. It's going to be very important especially if you are going to the field of you are going to the field of data science and analysis. Sorry. So how do we copy the whole tuple? So remember when I told you how do you copy? So we can define it in a new, I don't know, please, at any point you are lost, I'm not seeing that your hand is raised. If you are raising up your hand, I may not see. So just unmute yourself and disturb the class so that I'll know that you are ready. I'll ask you questions. I will tell you to ask your questions, please. So new underscore TUP is the name of the new variable we want to copy. We want to copy this particular tuple and put inside a new variable. Okay, so by the time we do that, how do we do that? We call out the variable here equals to the name of the variable the name of the tuple itself, which is TUP. And we said, okay, whatever we have, we want to copy all the elements. Nothing is here, nothing is inside here. That means we are taking all the elements inside the particular word tuple as well. Some of you could have decided to use, instead of just using this double colon, you can just decide to use one. But this one is just trying to show you a standard way of doing it by also referencing the step size as well. So by the time you print the new underscore TUP, you see that it brings exactly the same thing as the previous tuple. Okay, so now let's take the reverse of this particular tuple. Okay, let's take the reverse of a tuple. So we now define it in a new variable and say equals to the name of the main tuple itself, and we want to take any element from the beginning, and we are not stopping. We want to stop at the end of this particular tuple, and that's why we're not putting anything. And we want it to start from, where are we starting it from? The step size should start from what? It should be -1 because it's going to start from the very end. So by the time we say, okay, we want, why is it starting from why is it -1? Why didn't you just put -1 here at this thing? Nevertheless, it could have still worked for you at some point, but I want you to understand that this particular one, I'm trying to make the step. I'm looking at the other step of it, like as it is moving, how I want it to move, not where I want it to start, how I want it to move. And the movement is going to be in a negative direction. So how do I want it to move? It's going to move in a negative direction. That's why it's starting from what? The very first element, dot, yeah, which is the full stop. Okay, that's how we roll. Okay. So now the main concept of, please, at any point if you do not understand, you can always disturb the class by muting yourself. I'll stop the screen sharing and go straight to you as well to answer your question. Or if you cannot answer, we'll always find a way to search Google for the answers as well. So if you look at tuples are immutable. This is a concept of tuple that is actually outstanding, and it tells us a lot when it comes to when you are building graphical user interface kind of where kind of games or applications. Because by the time you tell a particular thing should maintain this particular size, nothing should be changed. It's going to be like that forever. So a tuple here, you can see, guys, now that this, I'm doing the same, all the things I've been doing before in just one line. T here was initially, if you look at this particular T, is initially a list. You can see it's I put it in form of a list 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 34, 5 is a what is in a list when it comes to a square bracket, but I added the tuple inside of it immediately without wasting much time. And that one was just for me to make sure that you actually understand. I was just trying to play around with it. So by the time you call T here, so you can, this is a material as well. So you can call this T out. It's going to be 0, 1, 2, 34, 5. Okay. And by the time you want to reference, now see what is going on right now. You can see by the time you want to reference T is equals to 3. T inside 3 is going to give us 34 because 0, 1, 2, 3, 34. Now, look at what happens here. The same thing we'll normally do with lists. You want to change the value of 3, which is 34. Sorry, the index of 3, which is 34, to 3 itself. We can see that T, we put 3 here, and we want to change the index of 3 to 3. You can see it's going to give you a type error. Why is it? What kind of type error is it giving you? tuple object does not support item assignment. It doesn't support item assignment. So type error, tuple object does not support the item assignment. You cannot mutate it, okay? So what you're going to do is just to go and reassign it as what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you call it out, and it's going to give you what? The normal tuple itself. So you reassign it, and it's going to make a whole lot of sense. Now, this is going to the next thing we're going to look at is the tuple comparison. This is also an important concept as well, and you're going to see it as well. So comparing tuple, the same as comparing strings. I remember when we're trying to compare strings, then I was like using the ASCII number, and we said, okay, this is how it is, this is how it looks like. Now, please pay attention. Comparing tuples, the same as comparing strings in our alphabetical order. Now you can see something that the first element of this particular string is A. The first element in this other one is also A. The second one is B, which is lower than this other one, which is T in alphabetical order. That is why this one is greater than what is returning true as this particular one here. Because T is greater than, in terms of alphabetical order here, T is greater than what? B, as the first one that is different compared to A and A. So even this one that I know that X is greater than E, it only takes the first one that is different from the initial one. So if A is here, and B is here, and C is here, it's going to take this one as a greater one. No matter that you put the other ones to be A and A, it's not going to affect anything. As far as this T that is different from A and A, that comes in here is going to return true, because this is what is definitely greater than ABXC. That means ABXC is less than this, and it returns what? True. Now there's something is quite different here. You can see A and A is okay, is equal, but B and A is not the same. So B is not ABC is definitely not less than AAC. You can see here this particular B is greater than A. That is why it's returning false as well. So ABC is greater than AAC at this point. Now, another thing here, you can see right from the very beginning, 1 here and 5 here. 5 here is greater than what? 1. So that's why this particular one is greater. Now, look at what happens here. Now you see what I was trying to tell you. You can see 5, you can see that this particular tuple here, 5, 40, and 200. God knows, I'm telling you, even me, my critical eyes, you cannot tell me rubbish. You cannot tell me no. You want to tell me that 5, 40, and 200 is less than 6, 1, and 3. No, it's not possible. But because of tuple, it's actually looking at it in this particular one of way. 5 is looking at the very first element. 5 and 6, which one is greater? 6 is greater. So immediately it calls that this particular one is less than 6, is going to return true, no matter that the other element is 1 and the other one is 3. If this is 40 and this is 200, it doesn't concern him. As far as it goes through each of them, the first element, it's going to do what? Unpacking. As it's unpacking and comparing, it's going to say 5 and 6. 6 is greater, and I'm going to take this one to be what? True. Now you can look at this one. You can see something right now. You can see 1, 2. 1, 2 is the same. There's no issue. But immediately it became 4. And this one is 3. This one became 4. So why is it so? Because this is supposed to be greater than this. Why is it so? Because 4 is greater than 3, which 1, 2, and 1, 2 are the same. So it becomes what? False on its own. The same thing here, exactly what we did here. It also going to what? Return false as well. So you can see here what that particular tuple comparison actually does. I don't know if there are questions or permission to carry on. Please give me the permission to carry on. Hello, Mr. Mark, you wanted to say something? Okay, please, permission to carry on, or Any questions? Okay. Someone's this thing is Emedion, your video is on.
Yeah, hello, sir. Okay,
Okay,
sorry.
is it okay, Emmanuel? Sorry. Okay. Yes, Mr. Mark. Yeah, you have the floor.
No, sorry, I was struggling with my interface. So basically, so when it comes to comparison of tuples, so what I hear you say is that in the unpacking of it, it considers the
first
value
element that
element is comparing against the other elements.
Yes, exactly.
To take a decision. That's what I understand at this point.
Yes, that's what it does. That's what it does. Any other question? Any other thing you want? Anybody that wants to add something? Okay, permission to carry on. So let's continue. And the next thing we're going to look at is the tuple assignment. I think when I was going through, there was this particular scholarship I wanted to get to learn how to code back then. So I was like, they were trying to show me this tuple assignment. I was even some point I was like, okay, how do we do this? Please pay attention. Tuple assignment is more of like how you trying to assign a value for another one and also reversing that particular value. For example, if your value here is A is 99 and B is 1. At the end of your assignment, you want it to change from, you want A to now become 1 and B to become 99. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at this way, and also we're also going to look at it in a Pythonic way as well. So it will not, I hope it will not be confusing as well, but so what we're going to do right now is, please assign the value of A to B and the value of B to A. So you can see A is 1, B is 99. So way 1, that is a temporary variable. It's more of like trying to put it as a temporary kind of variable. Excuse me, guys. So what we're going to do right now is, let's start. So we are going to print the value of A, which I've already defined here on top to be, we are printing A to be A, printing B to also be B. Remember, this is a string. We're just trying to explain it in a way. So we put it in a temporary variable. This could represent anything. We're just not put, this term doesn't mean anything. If it meant something, it could have been in a particular, another kind of color. So term equals to A. And this particular A that you have defined, the value of which you have defined to be temporary, as now we're now going to use it to assign to what? B. So anytime whatever we now assign to B, which was already.
Meaning.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't see your screen.
Okay, let's confirm. Let's confirm if other person. Okay, let's confirm if it's a general issue. I don't know. Mr. Sunday, can you see my screen? Hello, who can see my screen? Dr. Kweme, please, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Oh, Mr. Manuel is talking, but it's not clear enough.
Yeah, I can see it, but something is covering it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, they can see my screen. Maybe Mr. Mark should go off and okay, I think it's trying to get back in. So let's see. Okay, so okay, it's back. So let's see. Mr. Mark, please, can you see my screen? Mr. Mark, please confirm you can see my screen.
Let me not delay the class. Go on. I'll go out and come back in again. I think network from my end is the source of. Okay, I can now see it now.
Okay. All right. So, so what you are trying to do is to assign a temporary variable to it. So you can see term is equals to A, and that A originally was supposed to be 1. but term now becomes what? A, and A becomes equals to what? B. B equals to that particular temporary. B now becomes to that temporary, which was defined to be what? A. So you can see now, it is where the swapping actually happens, when B equals to what? Term is. So when we are already told, okay, anything that we have for A is also going to be what for B. And in that particular term that we have defined for A, it means that any value that we have defined for B is now equals to what? That particular term in which you have defined for A. So the whole of this thing is always known as creating temporary variables to swap the values that in which you have. And maybe there may be something how we could actually explain it better for you when it comes to this particular temporary way, this way one. I'm always very conversant with, when I was learning as well, I was like, okay, why am I learning all these things? Why didn't I just use this particular method? The other way too, I'm going to show you as well. So you can see here, it's more of a logical kind of thing. So temp is equals to A, and that same A that we have defined to be temp is going to equals to B. And that B that in which we have said that is equals to B now automatically becomes what? Temp, that which you have put it to be what? A in the beginning, and we are bringing it here. So after we now say, okay, let's print after assignment that we have done this particular assignment, temp equals to A equals to B, and B equals to temp. Let's print it and say, okay, let's see the difference. So you can see we decided to print it after the assignment and B after the assignment. You can see the first one that we defined here was 99 and 1. After assignment, you can see that A now becomes 1 and B becomes 99. Okay, so we can change the value of variables as well, as known as what? Tuple assignment. Now let's look at the second way of doing this as well. So A is equals to 99, B is equals to 1. We print A and B, which we are going to see. And we now do the same thing that we are going through here, as A comma B equals to B comma A. It means that this one is unpacking. As A is unpacking, is taking the value of what? B. As B is also unpacking, is taking the value of A. So whatever it finishes, what I find is that it's unpacking, or sometimes we call it unpacking. A now goes aligned with what? It goes into this particular one and unpacks B and takes the value of B. B now goes, okay, it's now my turn. Okay, let's get there and let me take the value of what? A itself. So this is what happens. The thing that we did here is exactly the same thing that we did on this particular line. So after assignment, it goes here and say, okay, A equals to 1 and B equals to 99. And you can see here, we're going to look at example. A is equals to, let's say, you can see here what happens now. You can see what happens now. So A comma B, it shows that this is exactly what we just did now. You can see A comma B equals to, this particular one will now be 500. A will now take what? 500, and B will now take what? Will now take what? 800. So we can see that this is how unpacking is done. It takes these particular values. This one takes this one takes this particular one. So if this was B and this was A, it will also do the same thing as well. Okay, so that's how it's been done. But now if you decide to say, okay, let me assign this value, you can see all of them are in tuples. These are more of like what they call it. These are more of like tuples because they're separated by comma. So you can see these are tuples assignments. This is what we call tuple assignments as well. So if you look at this particular line, A comma B equals to 500 comma 800 comma 600 is going to cause an error because too many values to unpack. You can see it was expecting. You cannot stress my life. That's what it's trying to tell you, that I'm supposed to, A is supposed to unpack this, B is supposed to unpack this. Who will now unpack this other one is not of my business. So that's why it's trying to tell you that it is a value error. It's not supposed to be that way. Too many values to unpack. There are too many values for me to unpack. I was expecting 2. I was not expecting more than 2. So if you do that, you are on your own. So that's why it's bringing out a value error, and you can see right now. So it's important in tuple assignment, number of variables must be the same for both sides. It's very, very important as well. Okay, so let's look at this a practically. Let's look at a real world kind of example. So we can see things sometimes they might tell you split a particular kind of what they call it, email. Split the username and domain name from an email via Tuple Assignment. So this is somebody's mail, johndoe@example.com. So by the time I want to split this, I'm going to split this dot split. And where do I want to split? You can see I'm putting like more of like a kind of quotation here, like open and close bracket. And where do I want to split is where I'm telling this particular split function method to split. Dot split. Where are we splitting from? We're splitting from the at position. So you can see once every time we call it out, it's going to bring out John Doe on his own, example.com. So this is the username and this is the domain name. So we're going to use that particular information to assign and see how we can actually do what, make that particular one to be a username to be this and the domain name should be this. You can see here, we bring this particular line of code that we have run here and said user_name, domain equals to this John Doe at example.com. We are calling out the split function and we are saying we want it to be separated. So the separation comes here in between John Doe and example. So by the time you separate it here, this John Doe will be taken by the first one here, and the domain will be taken by what? Example.com. If you had put domain where the username is not going to be the same. Domain will now take John Doe, and username will now take what? Example, which is not what we wanted. So we brought this one out first. User_name equals to domain. By the time we print username, you can see that the username here is John Doe, and the domain here is what? Example.com. So that's the concept. That's how it's been done. And you can see the next example we can do right now is assign each element of a list into a separate variable via tuple assignment. This is a practical example of tuple assignment as well. So this is a list, my underscore list. Why is it a list? Because it's separated by a square bracket. And we call out this list to see what it does for us. Now, let's unpack list elements into separate variables as we have said before. So we now said, okay, A is going to A, B, C, D is going to get to do what? Work with this particular word list that we've gotten now. Now, if you look at it now, the result will be A, this small letter A will unpack the capital letter A on this particular element in the list. B will do the same thing. I don't know, please confirm you can hear me. My headset just went off. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. All right. So if you can see here, we're just trying to print in the value. This A, B, C, D is more of like a string. We're just trying to represent it here. So if you decide to print A, the value of this small letter A now becomes this particular A, B, C, and D. That's B, C, D now takes in the value here. A is now for the capital B. So A is for capital A. Small b is for the capital B. You can see them. They have now taken in their what? Their values as the output. So this is now the values of this particular variable that we have unpacked. So that's how we are going. This is where we are going to stop tonight. And the next one is going to be more complex when it comes to tuples and functions. And what I want to tell you that tuples actually makes a whole lot of sense when it comes to function. Though function will actually perform a particular operation for you, but you may notice that functions can only return one value. But the question is, what will you do if you want the function to return multiple values? The answer is definitely what? Tuple. That's why we use tuple mostly for game development as well. So you can return a whole lot of things for us to do and so on and so forth. So we can see here the answer will definitely be tuple. So what I would like you to do is go home, maybe by tomorrow, that's Friday in our next class, you can actually find out how you can actually make tuple to return multiple values. Just try it out. There's a method that we use, there's a function we use. I've already showed you here. So just go research on your own. Let's see what you can come up. You have the Python file already in both py and ipynb. So you can search on Google, come up with something. Let's see how we can actually work it out. So Megma, the next project is a snake game. Let's see how we can actually get set for that. And thank you for now. And this is where we're going to stop tonight. Okay, Mr. Mark, your hand is raised. If you have questions, please bombard us with questions so that we'll find a way out to clear your doubt and find a way out for you to understand more. Okay, Mr. Mark, your hand is raised. Talk to us.
So I saw you converting a list into a tuple. So I'm just thinking aloud. Can the reverse operation, is it possible to convert a tuple into a list?
Even
Hello?
Yes, you can try that out. It's definitely going to work for you. So let's check it out if it's possible to do that. Let's see, can we convert? Let's ask Google, can we convert? Let's check it out. Can what did you ask? Can tuple
Can a tuple be converted into a list?
be converted? This is a very simple question to list. A lot of persons have asked it as well. So let's see. Okay, you can see the first answer here. W3 schools have already answered you. You can convert the tuple into a list. You change the list and convert it back to a tuple. And I'm very sure a lot of persons in this class will be able to do that without wasting much time. I just wanted us to use the Google itself and go straight to the point. So is anybody that can, let me ask the class, someone in this class can do that. Is anybody that can convert tuple to list? How can we do that? Someone should answer now. It's very easy. The same way we have been doing it for other this thing. By the time we call out the name of the tuple, we just put in the list. Once you call out the list, the list, you fix the name of the tuple we want to change it to, and that will be all. I don't know if you understand, Mr. Mark.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
Thanks.
exactly the same thing. So yes, exactly. Mr. Solomon has done it for Mr. Sunday has done it for you, but in this, it's going to be it's not going to be a capital letter. It's not going to be a capital L. Mr. Sunday, will it be a capital L? Okay, we'll respond to us later on. So yes, he's typing. Let's see if he's going to be a capital. Mark is also typing. Okay. So let's see what they can come up with. Okay, yes, it is not capital. Fantastic. Okay, let's see. Okay, and that is it. Please ask questions, please. Questions should come in. Everybody has not talked to. Everybody, please talk to us. You are more of like the landlady. Everybody, are you with us?
Yes, good evening. I'm here.
No questions at all? From the depth of your heart, there's no questions?
No, I don't have any question.
Okay. Mr. Fonabo. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, Mr. Mark is coming up with something wonderful. Mr. Fonabo, any questions?
No, I'm good.
Maybe I can't hear. Maybe his audio is not connecting. All right. So thank you guys. Thank you very much for joining in. And you have the material in your hands. You can always go through them and come up with something wonderful. And let's see how we can proceed. We can keep on moving ahead. Thank you very much, and bye for now.